जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन भज जनरञ्जना यशोदा नन्दन भज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीराचारी यमुनातीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन भज जनरञ्जन यशोदा नन्दन भज जनरञ्जन जमुनातीरा वनचारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव राधे जय राधा रास बिहारी राधे जय राधा लंडनेश्वर राधे जय गौरांगी बैंगलोरीश्वर गौरांगी जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा जय सुदर्शन जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय आनंद देव प्रहलाद नरसिंह जयो आनंद देव जयो निताय चैतन्य जयो निताय चैतन्य जयो निताय चैतन्य जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल हरि नाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की जय जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजाचार्य स्तोत्र शत इस डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजाचार्य स्तोत्र शत इस डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नमाचार्य श्री हरदास ठाकुर की जय। जय श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ षट गोस्वामी प्रभुगण की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण चंद्र गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन गिरिराज महाराज की जय। मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायापुर नवदीप धाम की जय। श्री क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। कावेरी माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतं सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुलङ्गायतेन गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदन्तारिणं परमानन्दं माधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। Hari Om Tat Sat. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 7. Let me share the screen for all of you. Okay. Chapter 7 is entitled as The Sacrifice Performed by Daksha. And we are today reading and discussing from the 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th shloka. Tat Vrisadhava Dvesha Kalilatma Prajapati Shivavalokat Abhavak Sharadhatra Ivamala Vrishadhvaja Dvesha Kalimata Praja Kalilatma Prajapita Shivalokat Abhavak Sharadhatra Ivamala तदा वृषाध्वजा द्वेषा कालिलात्मा प्रजापति शिवलोकात् अब्धवाका शरध्वरा इवाबला. Word to word translation. At that time, Vrishadhvaja, Lord Shiva who rides on a bull, Dvesha, envy, Kalilatma, polluted heart, Prajapati, King Daksha, Shiva, Lord Shiva, Avalokad, by seeing him, Abdavad, become, Sarad, in the autumn, Rida, lake, Iva, like, Amalaha, cleansed. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. At that time when Daksha saw Lord Shiva, who rides upon a bull, his heart, which was polluted by envy of Lord Shiva, was immediately cleansed, just as the water in the lake is cleansed by the autumn rains. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Here is an example of why Lord Shiva is called auspicious. If anyone sees Lord Shiva with devotion and reverence, his heart is immediately cleansed. King Daksha was polluted by envy of Lord Shiva. Yet, by seeing him with a little love and devotion, his heart immediately became cleansed. In this rainy season, the reservoirs of water become dirty and muddy. But as soon as the autumn rain comes, all the water immediately becomes clear and transparent. Similarly, although Daksha's heart was impure because of his having slandered Lord Shiva, for which he was severely punished, Daksha now came to consciousness, and just by seeing Lord Shiva with veneration and respect, he became immediately purified. I would like to read this purport once again and certain areas which are very important for us to understand. So, for the benefit, my own benefit, I would say, I would like to read it again. The first line is very, very important. It says here the example of why Lord Shiva is called auspicious. And it says, If anyone sees Lord Shiva with devotion and reverence, please note this, if anyone sees Lord Shiva with devotion and reverence, his heart is immediately cleansed. King Daksha was polluted by envy of Lord Shiva, yet by seeing him with a little love and devotion, his heart immediately became cleansed. In the rainy season, the reservoirs of water become dirty and muddy. But as soon as the autumn rains come, all the water immediately becomes clear and transparent. Similarly, although Daksha's heart was impure because of having his slandered Lord Shiva, for which he was severely punished, Daksha now came to consciousness. And just by seeing Lord Shiva with veneration and respect, he became immediately purified. Let's take the 11th verse and the 12th verse. The 11th verse does not have purport, so we will read the word to word translation and the translation. Bhava Satvaya, for praying to Lord Shiva. Kritadhya, although decided. Na, never. Asaknot, Asaknot, was able. Anugrahata, by feeling. Aukanteyat, because of eagerness. Baspakalyaya, with the tears in the eyes. Samparatem, dead. Sutam, daughter. Smaran, remembering. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. King Daksha wanted to offer prayers to Lord Shiva, but as he remembered the ill-fated death of his daughter Sati, his eyes filled with tears. In the bereavement, his voice choked up and he could not say anything. Let's continue with the 12th verse. Again, 12th verse does not have the purport, so we will read the word-to-word translation and the translation. Kricharat, with great endeavor. Samstabhya, pacifying. Cha, also. Mana, mind. Prema, vihavalita, bewildered by love and affection. Shuddhi, one who has come to his real senses. Sa, samsa, praised. Nirvyalikena, without duplicity or with great love. Bhavena, in feeling. Isam, to Lord Shiva. Prajapati, King Daksha. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation to the 12th verse is as follows. At this time, King Daksha, afflicted by love and affection, was very much awakened to his real senses. With great endeavor, he pacified his mind, checked his feelings, and with pure consciousness began to offer prayers to Lord. Let's read the 13th verse as well, word to word translation. Daksha, King Daksha, Uvacha said, Bhuyan, with great anugraha, favor, aho, alas, bhavata, by you, krita, done, me, upon me, danda, punishment, tvaya, by you, mai, unto me, prita, done, yat api, although, pralabdha, defeated, na, neither, brahma bandhusu, unto an unqualified brahmana, cha, also, vam, both of you, Bhagavan, my Lord, avagna, negligence, tubhyam, of you, Hare cha, of Lord Vishnu, kuta, where, eva, certainly, Dhritavriteshu, one who's engaged in the performance of sacrifice. Translation and purport to the 13th verse by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation, King Daksha said, My dear Lord Shiva, I committed a great offense against you, but you are so kind that instead of withdrawing your mercy, you have done me a great favor by punishing me. You and Lord Vishnu never neglect even useless, unqualified brahmanas. Why then should you neglect me? Who am I who am engaged in performing sacrifices? Purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaram in the Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Although Daksha felt defeated, he knew that his punishment was simply the great mercy of Lord Shiva. He remembered that Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu are never neglectful of Brahmanas, even though the Brahmanas are sometimes unqualified. According to Vedic civilization, a descendant of a Brahmana family should never be heavily punished. This was exemplified in Arjuna's treatment of Ashwatthama. Ashwatthama was the son of a great Brahmana, Dronacharya. And in spite of his having committed a great offense of killing all the sleeping sons of Pandavas, for which he was condemned even by Lord Krishna, Arjuna excused him by not killing him because he happened to be the son of a Brahmana. The word Brahmana Bandhusu used here is significant. Brahma Bandhu means a person who is born of a Brahmana father and whose activities are not up to the standards of Brahmanas. Such a person is not a Brahmana but a Brahma Bandhu. Daksha proved himself to be a Brahma Bandhu. He was born of great Brahmana father, Lord Brahma, but his treatment of Lord Shiva was not exactly Brahmanical. Therefore, he admitted that he was not perfect Brahmana. Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, however, are affectionate even to a imperfect Brahmana. Lord Shiva punished Daksha not as the one does to his enemy. Rather, he punished Daksha just to bring him to his senses so that he would know that he had done wrong. Daksha could understand this and he acknowledged the great mercy of Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva towards the fallen Brahmanas, including even himself. Although he was fallen, his vow was to execute the sacrifice as is the duty of a Brahmana, and thus he began his prayers to Lord Shiva. Om Tat Sat. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to Canto 7 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 7, text number 10, 11, 12, and 13. Om Tat Sat. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshururmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatamitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Om Tat Sat. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisance unto him. Hare Krishna. So we welcome devotees again to this wonderful discussion and the pastimes where Lord Shiva and Daksha, who had some kind of challenges in their relationship, are now coming to an end of that rough weather or the bumpy ride that we call, and they are kind of reconciling. Reconciliation is basically from the side of Shiva because he pardons him on the instructions of Lord Brahma. So, well, just to go back a little on the background, Daksha, the Prajapita, was very, very puffed up with his power, though he was a king of, or he was the Prajapita, who created the whole, who is responsible for creating the living entities. But he was puffed up and he did not give enough respect to his son-in-law, who's Lord Shiva. First time he invited Lord Shiva and he insulted him, but Shiva did not mind. Second time he did not invite Lord Shiva. So that was an insult by itself because being the son-in-law, he has the first right to be there. And as a great Vaishnava, he has the first right to be there. But he was not invited, whereas Mother Sati sought permission of Lord Shiva and attended the ceremony. But while going at the ceremony, she sees that there's no oblation which is kept for Lord Shiva separately. And she feels really bad and she chastises her father. And her father, in turn, becomes very heavy on us, and which finally leads to Mother Sati leaving her body. Now, there are many times that we feel you become a little perplexed as to why Mother Sati had to leave her body. May say why they have to, commit suicide. Well, if you see, Srimad Bhagavatam is full of pastimes of the Lord, and every pastime that we see is for a learning for all of us. And for all of us, when we don't learn anything from this, it is of no use. So we have to look at it very carefully, understand it, and not look at it from the mundane eyesight. We should look at it from the very spiritual eyesight, as to that every activity that the Lord does or every pastime of the Lord has some understanding for the human beings and some understanding for the society, so that we can mold ourselves accordingly. Mother Sati, shows this very clearly, that she committed suicide because somebody or her own father did not respect her husband, who was a great Vaishnava. If, on the contrary, if somebody is not a Vaishnava and something like that happens, it is still acceptable. But Vaishnava Nam Yatashambhu, Lord Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava, and with him, if such things happen, it is not acceptable. And it is not acceptable to the wife immediately, because she is very well connected to Lord Shiva. She has been observing his activities, though people may be talking hundreds of other things, and Daksha would have been speaking ill about Shiva, but Mother Sati knows the qualities of Lord Shiva, and she really appreciates the qualities of Lord Shiva. So Mother Sati commits, she leaves her body there, and then, when Lord Shiva gets to know, they get really angry, and the followers of Lord Shiva, Nandishwara and the others, attack the fire sacrifice, and they destroy everything there. Looking at this, because the fire sacrifice is always meant for Lord Vishnu, uh, Lord Brahma comes in there and requests Lord Shiva that I think we should stop all this. It is not right for us to do this. And though he understands that what Daksha had done was wrong, but he still pacifies Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva accepts it, because when the father gives the instruction, one should follow it. Though initially it may look like, what my father is saying is not nice, or what he's saying is not correct. But if you go into deeper meaning of it, Lord Brahma did not want the whole universe to be destroyed. So he requests Lord Shiva to ensure that he stops this destruction, and then immediately, they go back into reconciliation mode. But by the time the loss is already caused, if you look at quite a few things happen in the meantime. They cut the head of Daksha there, and it was finally burnt. Now you had nothing to replace the head of Daksha there. So there was a goat which was used for sacrifice, and that goat's head was still available. So they decide that, we'll use the head of the goat to put it on Daksha. And many times you find it very difficult to understand such things, When the father punishes a child, it is for the good of the child. And here it says that, I had to do my duty to bring everybody to their senses. And Krishna says, this is a part of my love, my compassion, my care. A child or a disciple should relish this kind of care. Krishna gives us sometimes, undue services or sometimes some punishments. Then we should understand that this is a token of our whole that we were to get. What we are getting is only a small portion of it. Of the whole, we are just getting a small portion. Lord Shiva explains that it was out of his fatherly care that he had done this disturbances. Yeah. There's one very nice story which I heard, and the story was about His Holiness Devamrit Swami. Devamrit Swami said, when he was in class 4, grade 4, while he was studying, and, one day the teacher gave a note because he had not done a homework. So he had asked Devamrit Swami that this is a note to your parents because you've not done the homework. Please get it signed back. So Devamrit Swami takes it home, and because his first name and his father's first name continue to be the same, he just puts the signature all by himself without showing it to his father or mother, and brings it back to the school. And when the teacher notices, I'm sure teachers are also very smart. When she noticed that this handwriting doesn't look like an elderly person or of his father, it was signed by Devamrit Swami, and it was actually the fact. And the teacher says, "Did you get it signed by your parents?" Though Devamrit Maharaj had done that mistake, he did not want to lie there. So he accepted it, saying that, "No, teacher, I have signed it myself. I have not shown it to my father." Then she writes another note on the same note, saying that your son has forged your signature. Yeah. And, you know, the teacher asked Devamrit Swami to get this signed by his father, saying that now you will not sign. You please ask your ask your father to sign it and get it. This is in the whole interest of the neighborhood. So when Devamrit Maharaj took it home, his mother really got uh, heavy with him. And, all the neighbors came out when she was giving him some punishment. They all looked at it and they all laughed at him. But then if you really look at why did this happen? Why did the teacher give this punishment, or why did the mother really push this as a punishment to him, that he will never ever do it again? Though it was cruel on the part of the mother, you feel that, why my mother is beating me in front of all the neighbors here. But it was cruel on part of the mother, but it was to teach a lesson. And Devamrit Swami tells this in the lecture, saying that he has never ever done such things again. So it is a kind of lesson which, he learned from his mother by that. So here it is not actually to punish the son, but to encourage him not to do anything wrong. It is the fatherly or the motherly love that is shown. So likewise, here if you see during the destruction, Bhaga lost his beard, and Kusha lost his teeth, and Kush, Kusha had to eat. So whenever his disciples would eat, he would feel satisfied, or he had to only eat the chickpea flour to satisfy himself, because without teeth you can't eat anything. Daksha, as we discussed earlier, lost its head, and he got a head of the goat, which was, the goat was used for sacrifice, and the head was still lying. So they fixed the head of the goat on Daksha's head. And there are a couple of other people who lost their arms and they got their other bodily parts. The demigods did not protest. Life is never perfect, but life has to go on in the material world. Yeah, demigods did not protest in this. And the intelligence does not depend on the brain. There was a very nice research which was done. This was in, this is a very nice story. I think it is very important. Most of the time we understand that, our intelligence is always in the brain. And all the powerful people or the intelligent people have very good brains. It is also said Einstein's brain is still preserved. And, they say Einstein was so smart because one part of his brain was better grown than the other part. Yeah. So now, if you see here, Daksha has got a head of a goat, but he's going on offering beautiful pears. So consciousness does not depend on the brain. Brain is only an instrument through which we act. Well, I was also under the impression till some time back saying that, brain is everything. No. But when I read this in Srimad Bhagavatam, I realized that brain is only a small part of it. It's just an instrument through which we act. And Daksha, although existed with the head of a goat, he also continued to rule as Prajapati. Yeah, he ruled the universe. And likewise, there was one very nice research which was done ages back. There was one boy in University of Sheffield. He was granted the doctorate in mathematics, and his IQ was, 120% plus. So one day he went to the doctor to check and to get a scan done. So the doctor said, your head looks to be a little bigger than the normal size. I said, oh, okay. And then the doctor says, I would like to scan your head to really realize where the problem is because your head is bigger than the normal size. His head was a little more, like our head. It was a little bigger. So then when they really did a scan, this person, uh, he had no brain. His 98.5% of the gray matter was missing. There was only 1.5% gray matter. So there's something called gray matter. I'm sure some of you who are science graduates would know about more about this. But we've all been taught about this in school, saying that there's something called a gray matter which is already existing in our mind. And this person did not have 98.5% gray matter into the mind. It was all missing. So finally, the conclusion is that any part of the brain can do the functions of the other brain. So we don't have to really worry about brain and all of that. So it's only 1.5% of the gray matter that could do the function of the whole brain. And this boy was very, very intelligent. He, as I said, he got his doctorate degree at a very early age. His IQ was 120%. So the question will come saying that is it possible for people to be intelligent without a brain? Srimad Bhagavatam has the explanation for this also. Consciousness does not depend on brain. This world has so many anomalies which cannot be explained at all. Yeah. So as we move further, Daksha becomes very humble. He wants forgiveness. His heart becomes very pure with little devotion. In the first shloka itself, we read, with little devotion, if we offer our prayers to Lord Shiva, he is pleased with us. And we also know about his other name, which is called Ashutosha. Ashutosh means one who can be satisfied or one who can be made happy very easily. Yeah. So then he remembered his daughter and then he started crying and his voice choked because during that time when he was very heavy on his daughter and when she left her body, he was not worried. But now, having a little bit of devotion, he starts, crying, and his voice started choking when he thought about his daughter. Srimad Bhagavatam gives the example of Daksha that he was cleansed, like water in the lake in the autumn season. Oh, what is autumn season? Autumn season is a season where the water falls very slowly. It's not like monsoon where, the winds are gushing and, everything is uprooted, the trees are uprooted and there's a lot of mud which flows into the water or in the lake or in the rivers. But unlike that, in autumn season, it is very, very soft and gentle after the scorching heat of the summer. The lakes and the rivers get clean. And when you see this lakes in the autumn season, they're absolutely clear, crystal clear. You can see the water till the depth of the lake. Yeah. Monsoon rain reminds us of Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Disturbing things become in the mind. And it is clearing the consciousness. They sometimes stop chanting. There are many times that we see devotees come to Krishna consciousness. And when they start chanting, a lot of disturbance comes in their life. There's a lot of ups and downs which happen, and they sometimes stop chanting. But if you don't clear, it's like, you have an attic in your house, and if you've not cleared it for a very long time, there's a lot of dust which is accumulated. Even a small, tap onto it, a lot of dust comes out. So similarly, our mind is like that. For a long time, we've not cleaned our mind by chanting the holy name of the Lord. So when you start chanting, suddenly there is ripples which is caused in the mind. And when you start cleaning, a lot of dust comes out. And then you say, no, let me stop chanting. I think because of chanting, it is actually disturbing me. I'm not able to focus. I start thinking of all bad things. So that is a way actually one is disturbed. But one should never stop chanting when he gets disturbed. He should actually chant more so that, it settles down. So what I mean is you have to clean the attic. When you just put one little cloth there or, broom there, then a lot of dust comes out. But then you have to clean it nicely. And once you clean it, the attic is absolutely beautiful. Likewise, one needs to continue to chant his rounds. One needs to, continue his devotional service to the Lord despite all the challenges that one may have. It's like in the book distribution, when you go out and ask somebody, "Hello, sir, how are you doing?" And he knows that you've come to give him some knowledge. He says, "No, no, I'm good. I'm good. I don't need anything. You know, I'm absolutely fine." But at the back of his mind, he knows that he's going through a tough time. But he never says, "No, no." He says, "Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you." And likewise, if you keep chanting the Hare Krishna during the monsoon season, you will get through the cleaning stage and the mind will become very, very peaceful. Our acharyas have also many times told us saying that, if your mind is unruly, if it is behaving differently, you should just take your chanting bag and chant. Yeah, in the initial stage, the mind is still disturbed. Your hand will not run on the beads. Your focus will not be there on the mantra that you're chanting, all that. But if we keep chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra during the monsoon, that is during the season where there is a lot of ups and downs, you will get through the clearing stage and mind will become very, very peaceful. Yeah. So Krishna would go to the forest while he was in Vrindavan, and when it rains during the season of monsoon, he would probably go into the caves or go into the hollows of the tree, and then he would eat whatever his mother has packed after the rains have stopped. So likewise, autumn season is very soothing, beautiful Vrindavan you can see, and at the age of 8 years, the Kaishora age that we call for Krishna, and he can do some some of those very wonderful things that none of kids would do. At the age of 8, he would play flute, he would see autumn season coming through, and we all know that Krishna is self-sufficient. And during the autumn season, it is also, in Hindi it is called as Sharad Ritu, or in Sanskrit it is called Sharad Ritu. So he is also given that name of Sharad Bihari, who actually enjoys season of autumn, calm season. Krishna need not work hard for enjoyment. Yeah. Krishna takes shelter of Yogamaya, and actually Yogamaya takes the shelter of Krishna. It's both way. It is Krishna's energy, and Yogamaya takes the shelter of Krishna. In the higher stage of bhakti, you can become free from lust by remembering the pastimes of Krishna during the rasa dance. If somebody may ask this question saying that, hey, how is it possible? The moment that you think of the rasa dance, then, how can you be free from lust? But then that's at the higher stages of bhakti. Despite seeing the rasa dance, one realizes saying that, I'm just a part and parcel of Krishna. I have to only serve him. I'm not the supreme Lord. I cannot enjoy rasa dance. It is meant for enjoyment of Krishna and Radharani and nobody else. Krishna and the gopis. Yeah. So if you're too sick, many times we have seen that the doctor tells you you're too sick to take this medicine. What do we understand by that? We have to come to a certain level and then take that medication to become completely cured. So at the first, you become qualified and then take the topmost medicine. So, he says that, no, you're too sick to take this medicine. This medicine may even harm you because you're not very stable. So Krishna is showing his loving exchange, and he has conquered. He can be conquered by love of his devotees. Yeah, you cannot conquer Krishna by saying, "I have more money, I have more strength, I have." He's he's the richest, he's the strongest. Okay, he's the most beautiful. So you can only conquer him by love of our devotional service. Now, why did Krishna not go to Vrindavan from Dwarka? He sent Balramji. Yeah. Because Nanda and Yashoda will show the love and he'll never come back to Dwarka. That's the only reason that he did not, himself go to uh, uh, Vrindavan from Dwarka. He sent only Baldevji. Yeah. So hearing the pastimes of the Lord, who's sitting in our heart, he cleanses the desires of material senses. So it's very important for devotees that, we should always keep thinking of the Lord, hearing his pastimes, hearing his or doing his physical services, like cleaning the temple, cooking in the temple, doing the flower garland in the temple, doing the deity dresses in the temple, or for otherwise, standing on the counter and doing some seva, standing on Govinda's counter offering prasadam and all of that. We should come to that stage just by seeing Lord Shiva. if you just see Lord Shiva, the paragraphs of the purport, it is defined saying that, if you see Lord Shiva, the heart will be cleansed and the desire to hear about Krishna will really grow with us, because he is the greatest of the Vaishnava Nam Yathasham. So I'll just go back to the purport once again. It's very important, especially the purport of the 10th shloka. It says, here's an example of why Lord Shiva is called auspicious. If anyone sees Lord Shiva with devotion and reverence, devotion for Lord Shiva and reverence, saying that he's a great devotee of the Lord, his heart is immediately cleansed. King Daksha was polluted by envy of Lord Shiva, and yet by seeing him with a little love and devotion, his heart immediately became cleansed. So if we see Lord Shiva is so auspicious that when Daksha approached him, or when he approached Daksha, either way, in the assembly, he could not see eye to eye with Lord Shiva. Though Lord Shiva never had such kind of thoughts in his mind, but Daksha would always envy him, and Daksha would never want to give respect to Lord Shiva. So here, the change corollary is shown here, saying that just by seeing Lord Shiva, our heart changes. But what do we need? A little bit of devotion. And we have to also have the reverence for Lord Shiva, because he is the greatest of the devotee. And the heart can be immediately cleansed. Even for Daksha, who was so envious of Lord Shiva, if it can do that, for us who are non-envious, generally we are not envious. Devotees are always, loving Lord Shiva because he is the greatest of the Vaishnava. So when we are non-envious of Lord Shiva, and if we do that with little devotion and service and reverence to him, our heart will become immediately cleansed. Yeah. And then it goes on to say that, the rainy season, reservoirs and all of that. But at the end, I want to repeat that, and just by seeing Lord Shiva with veneration and respect, he became immediately purified. So Lord, Shiva is so potent, he's so, powerful, that he can immediately, if somebody sees him with veneration and respect, they can become purified. And this is a very clear example which is given here, or of Daksha, saying that from where he was and where he has come, and where he has reached, to that level where he couldn't stand him, and now he's offering prayers with folded hands. And with that folded hands, he says, I have committed an offense, please pardon me. And Lord Shiva, because of the instructions of his father Brahma, he accepts him, saying that, okay, no problem, doesn't matter. So that's the quality of a Vaishnava. He says he takes no offense of anything. And this is very clearly shown here by Lord Shiva, that he is immediately giving him the blessings and allowing him to continue his normal activities despite having offended him. So we will end our conversation here. In case if there are any questions or any doubts, you could please ask me. If there are any comments, please go ahead and make them.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavad Prabhu.
Thanks for the nectarian class.
And Krishna's mercy.
Just I have a sharing that
Yes,
the brain and the consciousness you brought out very nicely, Prabhu. Thank you. So we think, whatever that mind we have, our intellectual like that, but conscious is away from that.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks for that point.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. That was an understanding from me as well. Thank you for bringing it again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your patient hearing. There's nothing. We will close the class here. I thank the temple management for giving me this opportunity to speak on the subject today. And I thank all of you for giving me a patient hearing. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Dandavad Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.